end of the first half. This week, Brady threw for 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, and had a 34-0 lead by halftime against the Lions. With the win already locked up, Brady didn't need to take a snap in the second half as Tampa clinched a playoff berth. And in his last 4 quarters of play, Brady has thrown for 648 yards, 6 touchdowns, and no interceptions, Shannon. So how impressive were those back-to-back halves for Tom Brady?
Overrated.
What?
Overrated. So let me get this straight. I'm just going to make sure I'm hitting this correctly, Skip. The 3 worst pass defenses in all of football: the Falcons, the Lions, the Seahawks. 2 of the last 3, can you tell the people who he's played the last 2 weeks? The Falcons and the Lions.
What did the Falcons just do to my homeboy at my homeboy?
Give me just a second. Also, 2 of those teams, can you just in case the people don't know, 2 of those teams have fired their head coach and general manager. The Falcons and the Lions. Now, the Lions run a defensive scheme that Tom Brady has heard the verbiage for the last 20 years. You think that gave him an advantage, Skip?
Sure.
Interesting. Skip, look. I know you was going to do this. And this is what we do with Tom Brady. When he plays well, I told y'all, is this. And then when he doesn't play well, you blame the defense. You blame Bruce Arians. But now all you mention is that when he goes up against bad secondaries, is that Tom Brady, Tom Brady, Tom Brady. But you don't mention anything about the defense holding Detroit to 7 points. You don't mention anything about how they almost pitched a shutout to the Atlanta Falcons in the second half. It was all Tom, all Tom, all Tom. But when they lose, B.A. don't know what he's doing. B.A. need to get out of his way. B.A., you are going along for the greatest ride in NFL history. That's what you do. I don't take no stock in this because this is what we know. When he plays teams that are in the playoffs or on the cusp, he lays an egg. New Orleans twice, gagged it. Chicago, right there, they win next week, they're in the playoffs. My homeboy lost it. So, Skip, don't give me that. You know and I know what they lost to somebody else, too. Who else they lose to? They lost 3 games in a row. But anyway, we know the Rams. So any team that has playoff aspirations are right there.
Not sure the Rams are going to make it, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, the quarterback. I Skip, I was looking at my ancestry genealogy, Ancestry.com, and I stumbled across something that I didn't know, and you probably didn't even know this either. Jared Goff and Carson Wentz are related. They're turnover brothers. They're awful, and that's the reason why, and you're right, they might not make the playoffs because Jared Goff.
And their ownership was dumb enough to give both of them long-term, huge money deals.
Well,
as opposed to my owner, who was smart enough to dig in and say, no, not that much.
He gonna have to pay. He gonna have to pay sooner or later. But anyway, Skip, look, I'm not overreacting to Tom Brady throwing against Detroit. Detroit's not very good. They packed it up long time ago, and it serves them right because Jim Caldwell should have still been in that position, but they weren't satisfied making the playoffs every other year. They chose not to make the playoffs for the last 3 years, and it serves them correctly. But I'm not overreacting to Tom Brady doing what he did against Detroit.
The Brady hate is so deep on this table right now that I think I'm going to drown it.
Truth.
Let me remind everyone, there were only virtual OTAs. Tom Brady was trying to figure out his new receivers and his new team, throwing in some public park in Tampa and got run out of the park because he was violating the quarantine. Then there were 1 or 2. No, there were no preseason games. There weren't even 1 or 2. There were 0 preseason games. He got thrown into the fire against his division rival, your Super Bowl pick at New Orleans, which I said was as unfair an opening game schedule as you could ever find in the history of this league, with a man joining a new team and a new coaching staff. It took a while to figure it out because it looked like just when they figured it out at 6-2, Tom said, I want him. I don't care what you say, Bruce Arians, about how he won't fit in our locker room. I will show you. I will make him fit. And I'm talking about Antonio Brown. And he disrupted the on-field chemistry for a while because right on schedule, all that disaster happened as they tried to force him into their rotation. And then all of a sudden, Tom Brady said, okay, that's enough. I got this. When they fell behind 17-0 a week ago at Atlanta, he said, I got this. When they fell behind 24-7 in the third quarter, he said, no, I got this. I told you it was a virtuoso. I told you it was a masterpiece. He threw for 320 yards against that same defense that went and shut down Patrick Mahomes at Kansas City, held him to 7 points through 3 quarters, and Tom Brady...
They held you to no points in the first quarter.
Well, wait, Tom Brady put up 31 points in the second half at Atlanta and threw for 320, which was by far the most yards any NFL quarterback has thrown for in a second half all season. And then he turned right around after all the stories about how in the last 6 games, Tampa had opened up in the first quarter, losing 59-7. In their previous 6 first quarters, they lost 59-7, all told, cumulative.
Was he
and he said, I got this. And here he went, and he went to work, and he, in the first half, went beyond virtuoso, beyond masterpiece, beyond Mona Lisa. I don't know what's better than Mona Lisa because I don't know art that well, but I told you the one against Atlanta was a Mona Lisa. This was the greatest ever. This was 348 yards on top of 320. So if I do the combined halves,
stop it,
and I add them up,
no, you
that's
can't.
668 total yards passing, 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. And I want to remind everybody, the all-time NFL record for one game, Super Bowl era or not, going all the way back to 1951, was Norm Van Brocklin, right out here at the Coliseum in Los Angeles for the then LA Rams versus the New York Yanks. They were called the Yanks. And he threw for 554 yards, and that still stands from 1951 until today as the record. And if I add up to the 2 Brady halves, 668 would have smashed, obliterated that record.
So, if I do that, I'm going to take Ryan Fitzpatrick, his fourth quarter. He had 182. So if I project that over the other 3 first quarters, that'd be over 700 yards. See, so you couldn't do that. But let me ask you a question. This is what I notice about what you do and a lot of other people do. When Tom Brady doesn't play well, you blame it on the OTAs. There was no OTAs. There were no training camps. There were no preseason football. But you don't mention that when he loses.
So what's my biggest pet peeve about Pro Bowl voting? It happens way too early, and I don't know why.
What were you waiting for?
Why can't you wait until the season is over?
Nah,
because if you waited just 1 more week, 2 more weeks, because the votes were in.
He had an opportunity. He had the same opportunity that Kyle and everybody else had.
These
he had
games
14
count?
games.
Yeah, they really count. This is it. This is the stretch run. And I'm sure Tom Brady did not love it that Kyler Murray got the 3rd spot on the Pro Bowl team in the NFC.
You say he don't care about Pro Bowls.
Kyler didn't have the greatest game on Saturday, and Tom Brady, just the game before on Saturday, said, voters, watch this. Is there any doubt that Tom Brady should have at least been the 3rd quarterback on the NFC team? Yes, he should have been. You know it, and I know. So now he's up to 36 touchdown passes, which would have tied for the league lead a year ago.
Yeah.
Right? Lamar had 36 and led it. Aaron's going crazy. I give you that. But Tom's 4th best in touchdown passes. And by the way, I know you don't love Pro Football Focus, but going into this week, they graded him the 3rd best quarterback on total body of work. And now that Mahomes struggles so badly at home on Sunday, I will bet you that Tom Brady vaults up to 2nd best graded quarterback for the whole year.
I bet Tom Brady does not get a vote when it comes to the MVP selection. I bet that.
That would be Brady hate. That would be Brady burnout. That would be, we're sick and tired and he's doing it again. So let me just put this in some perspective for you. Last year, Jameis Winston threw 33 touchdown passes and led the league in passing yards with over 5,000.
Right.
He also threw 30 interceptions and lost 5 fumbles. So that was 35 turnovers. Right now, Tom is already 3 above him.
Clear.
With a whole game to go, again, against Atlanta. This one's in Tampa Bay. But Tom Brady has thrown 11 interceptions, which you have ridiculed him for, but he's only lost 1 fumble all year. So he has 12 total turnovers to Jameis's 35 a year ago. So what happened? 7 and 9 a year ago has become 10 and 5. And Tampa made the playoffs for the first time since 2007.
But he has 11 picks. Aaron Rodgers has 6 total turnovers. Mahomes has 7. And they have more touchdowns. and they have a better record.
No risk it, no biscuit. If you look at the history of Bruce Arians with all those great quarterbacks he coached,
now.
first year was always high interceptions. See Peyton.